Lymphoma Coalition has done some extra work looking at the CAR T patient experience. So both through a global patient survey that we do, so pulling a subset of data, looking at those who have had CAR T, and then also through some qualitative interviewing and some focus groups with patients. And one of the things we thought we would do with our data, which is not something we usually do, is really go back and see if we could see the same kind of side effects in our patients reporting, self-reporting through our survey as what the clinical trials reported. And just to see if there was any significant differences. And when we did that work, we did find there was some good matching. The percentages were matching what was reported in clinical trials. Yet when we were doing that, it was very much on a matched population. So we compared patients that had CAR T with those that would qualify for CAR T but had not yet had CAR T, if that makes sense. And we did find some increased incidences of things like mental confusion, which was not something that was listed in the clinical trials. And I think this kind of work is important because we might be missing things. And how do we measure something if we don't know we're supposed to measure it? And this is one way when we're asking the patients through our survey so many different side effects or toxicities and symptoms they could be facing is so broad-based that it gives us a good opportunity to do this kind of work and say, is there any difference? One thing we did point out, again, this relates to some of the ongoing mental confusion, is it was something new from the clinician's point of view, and there is some activity to see how they can measure in future work. The reason being, of course, our data is patient reported. But it's also anonymous, so we can't point back to a person's medical record and explain exactly why this is happening. It may not be CAR T directly. It may have been the accumulation of therapies that they've had to date, but it does require some further investigation for people that do have that kind of knowledge as well.